Howdy, and hello, H2Os, Roller Bros, and David Townsends alike. I'm your guide, Q. Welcome back to r/AmITheAntagonist. Now, YouTube did a big silly, and they're going to be deactivating the poll card, which is like a huge thing that we've used in this series, so it's super disappointing. But so leave all of your opinions on these stories, situations in the comments now, because YouTube big lame. And let's get into the stuff. All right, this person says, "Am I the antagonist for kicking my sister's kids out of my house? I'm 35 and child-free." Now, I just want to announce my bias right off the bat. When somebody says child-free instead of I'm 35 and I don't have kids, it sort of leads me to believe that they're anti-kid, because I've just seen that terminology used in a lot of, like, anti-children groups and stuff, but let's continue. My sister is 33 and a mother of 3 kids, between 6 to 10 years of age, 2 boys and a girl. I've always had a strained relationship with my sister, and usually avoid being around her kids as I don't really like kids in general. Yesterday, my sister came over unannounced with her kids. She told me her brother-in-law had met with an accident and she and her hubby needed to go see him in the hospital. She said she needed me to watch her kids for the evening as our parents are out of town. I told her to get a sitter, but she said she couldn't get one on such short notice. I refused again, telling her I had never babysat before and was looking forward to a quiet evening. First, she told me she was just leaving them there. I told her I would call Child Welfare Committee and report her for abandonment if she pulled something like that. She begged and pleaded and actually began to fake cry. As I didn't want to provide my neighbors with entertainment, I reluctantly agreed. At first, things were fine. The kids were a bit rambunctious, but still somewhat tolerable. They ate their dinner without starting a food fight, and then I left them in the living room to watch a movie. I was in the study getting some work done. I had brought my cat and dog in there with me as I wanted to keep them safe from the kids. Suddenly, I heard a loud crash. I rushed to the living room and found my precious antique clock that I kept on the mantelpiece on the ground in pieces. It was worth well over $1,000 in USD. I'm not American. I was furious, of course, and asked how the hell this happened. The eldest kid incoherently explained that they had taken it down to look at it, and then the younger two were fighting over it and dropped it. Cue ear-shattering wailing from the other two, blaming one another for the demise of my prized possession. I had had enough. I called my brother-in-law and told him to come over immediately to get his spawn out of my home. He asked what was wrong, and I told him what he had done. He had the gall to tell me I was overreacting. I told my brother-in-law to come at once and get his kids. He said he was on his way. He came to get the kids, but didn't leave before lecturing me on the importance of family. I told him to get lost. This morning I received angry texts and phone calls from my parents and several relatives asking how I could be so heartless and how I could value a clock more than my niece and nephews. I told them I don't care what they think, because the way I see it, I was completely within my rights in kicking them out. They should just be grateful that I decided not to make my sister and brother-in-law pay for it. Judging from the fact that they have 3 kids, they probably can't afford it. Okay, there's an edit here. Allow me to tell you exactly why my relationship with my sister is strained. It's because my sister has always been jealous of my success. For example, last year I took a vacation to Spain and posted about it on Facebook. My sister is a housewife and her hubby had just lost his job. Apparently they were really struggling financially. Sis called me and berated me for having fun with my hard-earned money and flaunting it when they didn't know if they'd be able to make it to next month without having to ask my family for help. She also expected me to offer her some cash because family. When I told her that her and her husband would be better off if they had fewer kids, she actually got angry and yelled at me. This is just one example of my sister's entitlement. Some of you said I shouldn't have left the kids alone. Well, before I left, I told them very clearly to keep their hands off of my stuff. Edit 2. My mom just let me know that sister's brother-in-law will be fine. He was driving under the influence and has a dislocated shoulder and 2 broken ribs. After much consideration, I've decided to sue. That clock was rare and expensive. I honestly cannot tell if this is a real person or just somebody trying to play a villain on Reddit, because there's just so much wrong with this. It's okay that you don't like kids. It's understandable that you might not want to help out your sister since you've had problems in the past, but in a situation like this, where somebody has gotten into an accident, regardless of if they were driving under the influence or not, that's their problem. Obviously, your sister and her husband are going to be worried and are going to have to check on that family member in the hospital. It's your responsibility as a member of that family to step the fuck up and help out her kids for a short period of time, you absolute loser. Like, honestly, I think these people would all be better off if you just exited their lives, because I know that you're, like, making a whole joke out of this family first thing, but, like, it's clear you don't care about family whatsoever, so why are you still involved? Like, just separate yourself from all of them, because you clearly don't care. Also, as far as the leaving kids alone thing, yeah, you shouldn't have left them alone. You obviously don't know these kids super well, so you're just going to trust a 6 through 10-year-old group of kids to not mess something up in your living room that isn't prepared for kids whatsoever. You're very foolish and naive. And now you're gonna sue your poor sister who's not making that much money over your clock. You're just a detestable human being, and I really hope that bad things happen to you. Like, not super bad, but maybe enough to teach you a lesson and make you change your attitude and your ways. I don't know. Am I the antagonist for not wanting my dad to walk me down the aisle because he's in a wheelchair? Alright, this is gonna be great. About 3 years ago, my dad was injured in a really bad hit-and-run car accident. He broke just about every bone in his body and left him paralyzed from the waist down. Our relationship has always been really good, but I hate seeing him in pain and admittedly try to avoid seeing him because it just makes me uncomfortable. In November, I'm getting married. I've been with my fiancé for 4 years, and he and my dad get on really well. Naturally, the discussion of who was going to give me away came up in the family group chat, and I kept silent after I realized my dad would be in a wheelchair. We always talked about him giving me away and having a dance at my wedding, and I don't want to be reminded of what could have been at my wedding. I messaged my mom privately and told her that I want my uncle to walk me down the aisle as we're incredibly close. She naturally asked why, and I told her that my dad being in a wheelchair would add complications to the wedding. The walkway would have to be widened to accommodate his wheelchair and wouldn't be able to hold my arm or give me a proper hug. She was outraged, called me an ableist POS, and removed me from the group chat. My aunt has since called me telling me my dad is absolutely devastated. Am I the antagonist? Regardless of what you think of me, telling me these things isn't okay. I'm going to call my dad tomorrow. Update 2. Can people please stop messaging me such horrendous stuff? Think about what you're saying. You may not agree with me or my life, but you're just as bad as I apparently am if you're going around saying stuff like that to strangers on the internet. Okay, first off, I want to say I left Sal on the screen for the last section of the thing. I'm not going to apologize because I love Sal, but it did block some of the words. But anyway, I do want to say I feel for this woman. I do think she's making serious mistakes, but I honestly feel like her biggest problem here is not coping effectively with her dad's injury. It's been 3 years and she still doesn't want to look at her dad or be around him or see him, and I can't imagine how painful that is for him and also her to just not have her father really directly in her life anymore. That's not good. That's never going to be good. You have to adjust and be able to get comfortable around your dad. Otherwise, you're just gonna miss out on, like, the last half of his life, the last quarter of his life, depending on how old he is and how much longer he sticks around for. It's not something you want to continue to do, avoiding your father. And if you had started doing that earlier, I'm sure all of this wedding stuff would not be a problem whatsoever. And if you have time before the wedding to get more comfortable with seeing your dad and being around your dad in the state that he's currently in, I don't think that the wedding stuff is going to be an issue. I think maybe you're being a bit of a bridezilla, but I think that the main issue is just your discomfort with the current state that your father is in, and you need to change that. Am I the antagonist for letting my husband kick my daughter out? My daughter is 18 years old and has been living with my husband and I for the past 2 years. It's been rough for the most part, but we're managing. The problem comes to her and her usage of marijuana. Yes, it's legal, but my husband and I are more no to drugs. My husband a bit stronger than I am because of personal reasons. So when we found some in her bedroom a year ago, we sat her down and told her that she couldn't use it. She accepted it but continued to smoke secretly. Since we couldn't find any proof and she was blatantly denying it, there was nothing we could do about it other than keep questioning it. When my husband got up early one morning for a jog and saw her smoking on the roof, they got into an argument and then he came and woke me up to tell me what was going on. I tried to ask her for myself, but she escalated everything by calling him an asshole and telling us both to fuck off. He told her to pack up her things and that she was leaving immediately. I called her father to come pick her up, but she chose to sleep over at a friend's. Her father is now calling me an asshole for letting him kick her out over such a small thing, but to me, at least, she lied to us, disrespected our rules, and cursed at us. From our side, this is certainly not permanent. It could be resolved with an apology. Anyways, am I the antagonist? Edit, I see people asking, but I'm not sure if not to comment to avoid violating the rules, so I'll just post it here. The legal age is 21. I don't know where/how she's getting it now, but when we first caught her, it was from a friend. So I personally think this is sort of an everyone sucks here situation. I don't personally think marijuana is like that big of a deal. I think it's much less of a harmful habit than even like alcohol usage, but it is their household and she's constantly breaking the rules. I'm wondering if there were like more punishments in between the first time she was caught and them eventually deciding to kick her out temporarily, because that would have seemed appropriate to, like, you know, take small things away or give her some smaller punishments before something huge like this. But obviously, I'm not a parent, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, so let me know what you guys think. I'm sort of split on this one. I'd like to give a major shout out to my beloved top tier channel members, Caleb Grills, Ghost Spoons, Roller Geeks, James Barnoski, Miss Inked, Tay P, Hyper Ninja Child, Jared D, Regrettable Stitches, Allison B, For Jared, Connor G, Cryptid Fennec, Kaya Bay, Tasha K, and Catco, as well as everyone else you see on your screen. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support, continuing to just, you know, watch the videos. I hope you like them. If there's anything I can be doing better, let me know. I am very much open to criticism and, helpful tips and tricks. Hope everybody's doing super well out there, skating on to the best of your abilities and drinking a sufficient amount of water. You better be doing it. I'll see you super soon. Peace out, Cub Scouts.